What Dawn Staley said about Caitlin Clark's popularity in WNBA, and those who don't want her criticized. South Carolina women's basketball coach Dawn Staley was a guest on Kylie Kelce's podcast and talked about Caitlin Clark and A'ja Wilson. Kelce, a Philadelphia native and wife of the now-retired NFL lineman Jason Kelce, who spent 13 seasons with the Eagles, has a podcast and brought Staley on as a guest the week of June 19. Over the course of the episode, the two also talked about Philadelphia sports icons, Staley's relationship with Eagles QB Jalen Hurts, all of her different Hall of Fame inductions, and her new book. What Dawn Staley said about coaching these Caitlin Clark at Iowa. Staley was asked if Clark, who went 1-1 against the Gamecocks in the NCAA tournament while at Iowa, was the best player that Staley has ever coached against in college. "I only coached against Clark twice, and both times she had over 30, Staley said. "I don't know if there's a player that I coached against that had 30 points against us in the 2 times. I would say she's probably the most difficult to scout, to play against, in that she can beat you in a variety of ways." Staley said obviously her 3-point shooting is a huge threat, but for her, the most dangerous part of Clark's game is her passing ability. Her ability to make other people better, Staley said. Her ability to have other people's production along with her production. That's how you win, if you can get somebody to produce along with her. Staley revealed that in the 2024 national championship game against Iowa, that the Gamecocks won 87-75. The plan was that even if Clark scored 30 points, the focus was on limiting her assists. Clark averaged 8.9 assists per game in 2023-24, but had 5 in the loss to South Carolina. What Dawn Staley said about Caitlin Clark's fans in the WNBA. Staley continued to sing Clark's praises before both Kelce and Staley discussed the fans' impact on the WNBA. "I think Clark is quite incredible," Staley said. "Quite an anomaly when it comes to how many eyeballs she's bringing on the game. New eyeballs, and the newness of those eyeballs only want her to do well, only want you to speak very highly of her, only want you to agree with what they agree with, and that's kind of hard when we are critics to everyone that plays the game. It's part of the fabric of sports. You want to highlight Caitlin Clark for what she does well, but if you are her opponent, you want to zero in on the things she doesn't do well." Kelce mentioned how some new sports fans don't fully understand that picking apart aspects of athletes' games is part of sports. Kelce suggested that Clark probably would want her weakness recognized as she's on a journey to eliminating them as she progresses throughout her WNBA career. "That's the competition that drives these games," Kelce said. "That's sports. That's the heart of it," Staley replied. Dawn Staley says A'ja Wilson, best player in the world, gets criticized too. Staley then brought A'ja Wilson into the conversation. The 6-4-star forward for the Las Vegas Aces is a 3-time WNBA MVP and 2-time WNBA champion, and played for Staley from 2014 to 18. When you are singularly focused on one thing, and that is for Caitlin Clark to do well, and they are going to tear my butt up for saying this, Staley said. "I coach the best player in the world, A'ja Wilson, and I tear her game apart. I criticize her." Staley said she had wanted Wilson to improve her shooting depth, so she could hit 3-pointers when her mid-range shot was taken away, and improve on defense and with rebounding. "If I'm going to criticize my own, I'm going to criticize the people in the game," Staley said. "It's not to say what they're bringing to the game is not great qualities, but nobody walks or plays this game perfectly. No one." Staley closed the conversation talking about the amount of people who watched Clark in the national championship in 2024, and how all those people watching saw South Carolina players too. "Do I think that people tuned in to watch Caitlin? Absolutely," Staley said. "Give her all the credit, but when they tuned in, they saw a South Carolina team full of incredible talent that made our game better. She brought more eyeballs to our game, but fans found out there's more really great players in our game that are worthy of being talked about, worthy of getting credit. It's a win-win situation when we can have a healthy conversation about what's happening in women's basketball and now the WNBA.